All right, guys. So, wanted to do a video on a Jaina deck for this week. Sorry it took me so long, but I've had an absolutely nightmare week at work. Well, not nightmare in a bad way, but it's just been really busy, so I haven't been able to record much content. I've been going to bed at like 8 p.m. every night. But I wanted to show you this Jaina deck that I've used to push level 28. So the deck level is 24.7, so that makes it about 3.3 levels below red level, absolutely. And I tell you what, with one particular relic, you can do this with ease. There are lots of good relics that this deck can run with, obviously things like Stormwind Commendation, etc. But one that really stands out is Reflective Chain. And it's the reason why I think people run Footman in general, is because Reflective Chain is such a ridiculously insane relic with Footman. So if you can get Reflective Chain, makes this deck really good, but you can still definitely push levels with this deck anyway. We're running Jaina with Clear Casting, but to be honest with you, you could also run her with Blink, but Clear Casting just helps with the Blizzard. Footman with Fortification. Picklock talent on Defiance Bandits, because on both the second level and the third level, so we're both on Cookie and Sneed, there are chests that you can get a big gold advantage with. Cold Snap on Blizzard. We're running Flame Burst and Wellpegs. We're running Earth Shield on the Frostwolf Shaman. Doesn't help too much. Can give your Jaina armored, which does help a little bit. And then we're running Bristleback, but honestly, you could run Poison. You could run whatever you want, really, on Quillbore. It's just because I left Bristleback on him, but it doesn't really matter what you run, realistically, on Quillbore. And that is a deck. Now, I'm just going to jump straight into the replay. We're going to use our special little pen as usual, and we'll get on with it. All right, Professor Excoundrel with the old Righty McRight stick is back again. Let's talk tactics briefly. I've done this quite a few times, so it's a little interesting. It's a little different with Jaina in this deck, because it's worth just exploring. Like, some things remain the same, like Wellpegs. You're going to put them here for the most part to deal with the stealthed Stonehoof Torrent that comes down. But what you want to do with this particular deck is, hopefully, and you might have to reset a few times to get the kind of correct setup, but ideally you want Footman, and then you want Frostwolf Shaman, and eventually you want Jaina. You want them to slow push towards this meeting stone. Ideally, the enemy will just keep spawning stuff at you this way, because you'll just be able to tank most of it. One of the great things about Footman on this level in particular is there is next to no AoE. And that's one of the problems that you'll face and run into on Sneed, is that Ogre Mage can actually make this quite difficult. But in this particular case, next to no AoE, so you're going to have Footman are going to get a lot of value. Ideally, what you want to happen is for your Footman to push up here, get to this meeting stone, and don't add more Footman. You want to keep hold of your Footman for the time being. They're pretty good to supplement once you've already got your Footman kind of struggling, or you want to defend on another lane. Add more Frostwolf Shaman if you can. That's what really wins this level. It's not spamming the boss with Footman. The win comes from spamming Frostwolf Shamans, because basically you can just out-heal and give everybody armored, and it becomes a real nuisance for the enemy to deal with you. So let's just kind of run through. Let's see how it goes. Right, here we go. Prowler over on this side. We're going to go immediately into Footman plus Shaman. I will say that if you don't get Footman plus Shaman in your opening hand, it's just worth resetting until you do, because it's basically the best way to set up a good push here. So, Frostwolf Shaman into Footman. We're going to then spawn the Wellpegs to deal with the incoming Stonehoof Torrent. We don't want to push too hard, because we don't want things to kind of get missed. We're actually going to use a actually pretty solid Blizzard in this case. Usually I'd be saving Blizzard for another situation, but I think this ends up being a pretty solid Blizzard. And it means we can then also now just drop a Jaina behind everything. We're going to get a Chain Lightning thrown at us, but who really cares? It's going to get healed up. That was a bit of a waste of gold from my enemy. So, by the way, really annoying. Like, what is this? Why has he spawned 2 kobolds? Like, that seems ridiculous that he's managed to cycle through to 2 kobolds already, but there we go. So, you might feel inclined to say, oh, good opportunity to drop Footman. Stop. Don't do it. Not yet, anyway. The boss runs Execute, and that Execute basically can kill all of your Footmen in one go. You have to be very careful. So what I actually end up doing is dropping 2 Frostwolf Shaman in this scenario. That's the Execute there. If I had dropped another set of Footmen, we would have been in a bad spot. Another good opportunity to just use Blizzard on top of everything there. We're using Blizzard just to try and clean up as many of the threats behind the boss as possible. You can see that I'm holding off on the well pegs because this has set up to be a pretty good push for me. Going to drop well pegs at the last moment. You don't need to drop them too early if you don't want to. It's all about that situational timing. But with the double Frostwolf Shaman, you're kind of just seeing how this is shaking out to be a pretty positive push. He is going to start to walk away. And that's going to be difficult for us to kind of get any major damage down to the boss. But we've also got control of this entrance here now. That's horrible, sorry. But basically, we've now got control of the gold mines. Because basically, essentially, he generally spawns kobolds where most of my minis currently are. And so he's never going to get a kobold over to these gold mines. I'm actually going to spawn a quillboard just to make sure that my kobold does get there. Because this is now a pretty crucial time. We've basically won at this point off that one push. This is kind of what this Footman deck is kind of set up to do as well. And with just a Blizzard and everybody else, double Frostwolf Shaman, we end up being really strong and getting the win there. So that was really, really solid. And actually with Tyrion, you could probably do this even better because you can have Tyrion plus Footman for just insane amounts of healing. So yeah, really, really cool. Good push. And basically have one set of Footman push that we set up at the start. Going to jump over to the next one. Here we go. Reflective Chain. Reflective Chain is absolutely broken, and you're going to see why. It's really good versus Sneed and Cookie. Cookie poisons your Footman, and that poison tick damage counts as reflective damage. So that basically you can, if you can just get Footman to Cookie, shreds them. Same with Sneed. Sneed does lots and lots and lots and lots of little attacks with his chainsaw rip, and that ends up causing a load of reflective damage. Now, it looks like I went AFK here, but we did take Reflective Chain, and we're going to jump in. Let me just double check. Right, so hopefully going to get going. Ideally, you want to drop Defias Bandits down straight away. Now, I don't have Defias Bandits. I was thinking about it, but realistically, you've just got to get these chests. You don't have time to kind of mess around here. You just have to go for the chests in this scenario. And even though I'd love to have dropped Defias Bandits, I'm not going to be able to get the increased gold gain on this rotation. Those chests just need to get taken down. Now, we're going to go, obviously, like I said, for a Blizzard there. The Blizzard will just clean up the majority of the important minis that we want to clean up. And then we are going to drop a set of Footmen. And then we're going to drop behind the Footmen a Jaina, which should, those Defias Bandits, I believe, count as Alliance minis. So the reflective damage will actually work in this scenario. Now, we are going to put in a Frostwolf Shaman, start the healing going off. It will get immediately one-shot by the Stonehoof Tauren, which is kind of annoying. A little bit of a slower start than I would have liked, realistically, in this scenario. But we're going to drop a load more here. We just want to make sure that we're getting this second rotation of chests. You just need to make sure, as a number one priority, if you lose those chests, you're going to start to lose pace that you kind of need to ensure that you get the win here. So it doesn't matter that you're too slow. It doesn't matter that you don't take the towers at the pace that you would have done with a Harpies deck. You can be a little slow and steady with the Footman deck here. Annoyingly, this Griffin Rider is actually going to get stuck on this tower, which is, yeah, very annoying. But nonetheless, not a big problem. We can just retake it in a moment. You can see I'm actually going to send a Footman up towards the tower on this side. We're then going to drop a Frostwolf Shaman behind as well. Even though he has just spawned in a load more minis, it's not the end of the world here. We can just drop a Blizzard when they get a little closer to the tower. Again, we've got a bit of time. We did pick up another chest here, so we definitely have enough gold to go for this, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem whatsoever. You can see Cookie taking a bit of damage from the reflective chains here. We're taking a bit of damage from Prowler, but we can handle it. We're going to drop a Blizzard just when they get into range, which is great. We'll put a Well Pegs behind as well, and now we're going to ensure that we can pick up this chest, hopefully for the increased gold value. Not the end of the world again if it doesn't happen. What we need to do here, though, very important, is we need to drop a Quillboard just behind this Huntress, because we don't want my entire roster of Defias Bandits and Jaina getting obliterated by that Huntress. And that should be, with Jaina, be enough now to take down this tower. Even if it isn't, not the end of the world. Looks like he spawned a Prowler, so it is what it is. We're just going to drop Defias Bandits as a bit of a defensive measure here. Going to do the same thing again with Jaina. It's why I like that with Jaina, but actually it doesn't really matter because, as I mentioned, Reflective changes OP versus Cookie. Cookie just ended up killing himself on a single pack of Footmen that made it over to the boss. Easy as you like. Let's jump into Sneed. And so, a couple of options here. The option that I went for was White Hair Moccasins, which increases the speed of all minis before they get damaged by 50%. We also had Gnomish Flywheel, which means when you play a cycle mini, the next mini is a level up. And then we have Arcanist Band, which I think reduces the cost of a spell by 1, but we don't use Blizzard that much on this level, so that's not a big deal. Went for White Hair Moccasins, mostly because the biggest problem that you're going to have versus Sneed is actually getting your footmen to Sneed, because it will take forever. They can get hung up on a load of stuff, so we're going to go for White Hair Moccasins. Okay, with Sneed, let's quickly pause. So, number one priority is this chest. If you have something unbound, that chest as well can work. But this chest is the number one priority. You don't really want to lose it. The reason being is you want to make a push onto this tower, go this way, go to that tower. As soon as you take this tower, you can start spawning stuff here to go towards this tower. As soon as you have a kobold miner, get it on this mine. It has to go towards that cloning pad. The cloning pads are on a 20-second timer from when they get activated. So just keep that in mind. However, when in doubt, keep sending crappy minions up this way. You do not want the enemy to spawn a molten giant through the cloner, because that's basically going to be a game over. So here we go. We're going to drop well pegs right on top of that safe pilot. We really do not want that causing a major issue. We're then going to have a very nice takedown of the well, our whelps basically took down the Bat Rider, which is fantastic. And now we have a pretty good Blizzard opportunity. And it's really good. It goes on top of the next Stonehoof Tauren that he managed to double spawn on our heads. And that is now basically done the job. We've done the job for that tower. Really, really good first push. Got a little lucky that there was no Ogre Mage spawn, but sometimes you need to get a little bit of luck. And why have I just done... If I can go a little bit back. Why have I just done this, if you can see in the top corner? Well, because Molten Giant's coming. Molten Giant will kill all of my eggs, and this egg here should, this one right here, should spawn a whelp when this comes back online. So it should spawn a whelp. So you're going to see in a moment. We do not want the Molten Giant to get spawned. So it should spawn a whelp in just a moment, as you see. Bonk, and the whelp gets immediately spawned, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted. The whelps should actually start taking reflective damage here, which is quite nice, but we have a good opportunity to get like a double blizzard, double whatever thing going on there. And now we actually have our footmen heading up towards the enemy base. I accidentally spawned footmen a little bit too far back, but because we've got white hair moccasins, they are quite quick, which is great. They're going to walk up towards the enemy base. We did actually double spawn. Oh, this is where it went a little bit wrong. Sorry. I completely messed up the sizing there a little bit. And I actually paused it to kind of get the sizing right. Right, we're back into it. I think we're back into it anyway. So footmen are not actually that big of a deal to get into the spawner. We have well pegs. We have Jaina. Like, they're not that threatening. And they only spawn 5. So it's like they just spawn a slightly enhanced footman pack, which actually is not that big of a deal to deal with. And now we're starting to get Sneed, people on Sneed. And you can see here, we're going to use Blizzard just to make sure we kind of keep things safe. But look at the amount of damage that Sneed is doing to himself just by hitting footman. He's doing a huge amount of damage to himself by hitting footman here. And this next footman spawn with all of the backing behind it, the Defias bandits, etc., Sneed is just going to end up blowing himself up. You're going to see it in just a moment. Watch this swipe. He'll basically kill himself. Like, that damage just end up blowing himself up. So that's why Reflective Chain is so unbelievably broken on Sneed with Jaina. And that is how to beat Deadmines with Jaina. 3-point-something levels ahead. Probably could do this again if we get Reflective Change with Footman and go try and get to level 30. I might give it a go in my own time, but boom, Jaina deck done.